The Istanbul Cipher. Chapter 24. I reached the ridge behind the old warehouse, lungs burning, knees screaming. My satchel thudded against my hip with each step. The city stretched out below in dusky layers of smoke and streetlight. Somewhere down there, history had just been torn open and broadcast live. I crouched behind a crumbling parapet, scanning the alley below. And there he was. Hakan Kadir emerged from a side tunnel like a rat flushed from its burrow. His suit was streaked with dust. He moved fast, barking into a phone, waving off the two men beside him. Couldn't hear the words, but I knew desperation when I saw it. He flung the phone into a drain, climbed into a black SUV, and peeled out onto the main road. Airport. He's running. Part of me wanted to chase him, scream at him, grab him by the collar, and shove the truth into his smug, curated face. But I stayed low. He wasn't the point anymore. The story was out. He could vanish into some cushy exile. But his signature was everywhere. I pulled out my notebook, fingers trembling more from adrenaline than age, and scrawled one line. Truth has altitude. He doesn't. The sky was lightening. Muezzins began calling out across the hills. I turned toward the youth center in the distance, just a smudge above the rooftops. That's where they'd go. That's where I told them to go if we ever got separated. One last fire escape. One last time to a familiar rooftop. I pushed myself to standing. Every step from here mattered. Not because we'd won, but because people were finally watching. Time to get back to the kids. By the time I reached the youth center, my shirt clung to me like wet gauze, and my left knee throbbed with every stare. The fire escape groaned under my weight as I climbed. Third floor, fourth. The old metal ladder I'd quietly oiled weeks ago held steady. I told myself it was a precaution. Maybe it was a prophecy. At the top, I paused, catching my breath. The rooftop terrace hadn't changed. Chipped tiles, half-collapsed pergola, and the outline of benches where kids once sat dreaming about futures too big for their neighborhoods. And now, one by one, those futures had climbed back to this forgotten place. Ayla was already there, crouched beside the air vent, scanning the street below. She nodded at me, but didn't speak. Her face was streaked with dust, her ponytail ragged, but her eyes were sharp and calm. Sibyl came next, hauling her tablet case like it was a sacred text. She looked up at the sky, exhaled hard. "We made it," she said softly, her voice like paper brushing stone. Then Emre, limping slightly, but grinning. He set his laptop bag down with exaggerated care. "Battery's low," he muttered, "but it's alive." Layla arrived last of the teens, scarf around her neck and a look on her face I couldn't name. Part grief, part fire. She looked at all of us, then simply nodded. I came up last. No dramatic entrance, just the slow shuffle of someone who'd crossed a line and wasn't sure he could make it back. My knees hurt, my lungs burned, but my heart had never beat like this. I pulled out the hidden short-range radio and flicked it on. UCAL, rooftop, youth center. You still listening? A pause. Then, I'm listening. I'll be there in 5 minutes. Very troubling indeed. I looked at the kids, my students, my team, my future. I didn't know what to call them anymore, but I knew what we had to do. "Okay," I said. "Let's finish this." The wind off the Bosphorus cut through my sweat-soaked shirt as we huddled near the old HVAC unit, half-sheltered from rooftop sightlines. Emre was already on the ground, prying open the guts of his mobile relay setup with a multi-tool and nerves of steel. He muttered, 3 bars. Enough to push the first batch. Do it, I said. Cables snaked from his bag to the laptop, blinking faint green. Siebel unpacked the hard drive with the mosaic scan and Kadir's signed override form. She hovered beside Emre, lips pressed in concentration. Layla crouched nearby, gripping her phone. She had that same look she wore the day I met her, when she told me Istanbul remembered more than its officials wanted it to. That had felt like idealism then. Now it felt like prophecy. Ayla adjusted her jacket collar, tapping her foot once, twice. We've got under 4 minutes before they get here. She didn't raise her voice, just made it a fact the rest of us couldn't ignore. Emre clicked into the encrypted shell and dragged the first video file into the terminal window. Opening feed loop, now. On screen, the footage began. The broken chamber, the half-erased mosaic. The moment the grout line revealed the final verse. Then Sybil's voice layered in from the narration she'd recorded hours earlier. Smooth, deliberate, and devastating. They buried it under silence. We're digging with memory. Segment by segment, Emre pushed the files. Video, stills, metadata, the signature that proved Kadir knew all along. They bounced between dead drop relays, scrambled through mesh servers. Each progress bar climbed. Slow, steady. Layla stood and looked out over the city. We're not hiding anymore, she said. We're not, I agreed. Then I stepped back and let them work. My job wasn't to lead them now. My job was to make sure nothing stopped them, not fear, not failure, not me. Emre's final upload queued up. Last one, he said. Siebel whispered, then we go loud. And the rooftop, for one breathless second, went still. Layla stepped forward, her silhouette framed by the city's fractured glow and the wide, uncertain horizon. She held up her phone, not as a shield, but as a torch. A recording light blinked red. I'm live, she said softly. Then, louder, everyone who asked where we went. This is your answer. The rest of us stayed quiet. It wasn't our voice the world needed right now. She spoke with the calm of someone who'd already lost and still chose to fight. We were told this was forgotten. It wasn't her eyes flicked toward the camera, but they weren't performing. She was speaking to ghosts, to students, to every kid in every closed-off building. We were told this wasn't ours to protect. She pulled her grandmother's scarf from her coat pocket and held it to her chest. It is. Her voice tightened just slightly. Not weakness, precision. Now it's yours too. She let the feed hang in silence for a beat before lowering the phone. Then she looked at me, asking without words if that was enough. I gave her a single nod. It was more than enough. Behind us, Emre refreshed the dashboard. A small blue dot blinked on the map. Then another, and another. The signal was spreading, radiating outward from this rooftop like heat. I think we just struck the match, Siebel said under her breath. No one smiled. Not yet. Not with the air still trembling from what we'd lit. Layla sat down, arms wrapped around her knees, watching the city she refused to let forget itself. I turned away for a second, not to leave, just to breathe, to anchor myself in this moment. The wind picked up, carrying the sound of traffic, prayer calls, and a dozen notifications chirping from Emre's laptop. Our truth was out now. Not tucked in a proposal, not buried in code. Out loud. Out there. Isla tapped her watch. They'll be here any second now. Right. We'd bought time, not safety. But the most important upload was already done. Now the world would decide what to do with it. The sky was just beginning to lighten, a thin lavender smear behind the rooftop's broken edge. Below us, the city stirred. Horns, vendors, an early call to prayer. Above us, history pulsed from a mesh of cables and code. Emre's screen lit up. We're trending. He didn't say it with pride. He said it like someone reporting a temperature spike. The atmosphere was changing fast. The mosaic scan rotated slowly on his screen, layered with AR overlays. Beneath it, a scrolling flood of comments poured in. Who authorized this demolition? My grandmother spoke of this site. I thought it was just legend. Look at the glyphs. There's a similar pattern in Thessaloniki. This app. Who built this? Layla blinked back something. Fatigue or tears. Maybe both. They see it now. Sibyl had her tablet open. Check this. She held it out. A cultural preservation site had already cloned the footage. Someone in Cairo was translating it. A thread from Berlin was mapping the mosaic's iconography. The truth was already mutating, growing. It's spreading like a virus, Ayla murmured. But for once, we're the patient zero of something good. A gust of wind rattled a loose tile behind us. Then came the sound of boots on metal stairs. Colonel Altan Yücel emerged from the stairwell, breathless but not alarmed. He didn't speak right away, just looked at each of us, one by one. Then at the screen, then at the scarf in Layla's hands. Smart of you to reach out to me, he said. I stepped toward him. If you're here to shut us down, I'm not. He handed me a thin folder. The Foundation will want to bury this. Again. But I'm tired of forgetting things that matter. Inside, a yellowed letter. Dated 1997. Cairo. A different mosaic. A different cover-up. They've done this before, I said. And they'll do it again, Altan replied. Unless you keep reminding them. He turned to leave, then paused. The border logs already show Kadir tried to flee. He's going to be detained for questioning, if you know what I mean. You're all safe to go home. The teens said nothing, but they didn't need to. We weren't underground anymore, and they couldn't unsee what we'd shown. And Kadir will get what he has coming. The flat was quiet in that familiar, bittersweet way endings are. A room still full of people, but already echoing with goodbye. Emre had curled up on the couch, laptop balanced on his knees, lines of code still flickering like a heartbeat. Ayla paced, half distracted by a logistics map she wasn't even supposed to be working on anymore. Sibyl hummed softly from the window ledge, editing her narration one last time. And Layla sat at the kitchen table, writing a message to the museum board. Not to ask permission, just to let them know what was coming. I stood in the doorway, watching them. My team. Not mine, really. Not anymore. I leave tomorrow morning, I said. And the words came out more gently than I expected. My visa still expires at noon. Maybe another school will need my consulting. They all turned, but no one said anything at first. Then Emre asked, "Will you tell them about this?" I nodded. Everything. But only if they're ready to listen the way you did. Sibyl crossed the room and handed me her tablet. On the screen was the full stream archive, mosaic scans, her voiceover, the exposed documents. "Take it," she said. "Proof we existed." Ayla added, "And if you need someone to run recon, you'll be the first I call," I said with a half smile. "Though I think Istanbul still needs you." She shrugged. "Can't be in just one place anymore." "Not now." Layla stood last. She pulled me into a hug, tight, fast, then gone. "You were never just a consultant, Zach. You were one of us." I swallowed the lump in my throat. "You were never just students." We walked to the balcony. The Bosphorus shimmered, a ribbon of silver between continents. I looked at them one last time. 4 brilliant, bruised souls who refused to forget. "I'll keep the fire escape unlocked," I said, "just in case." Layla laughed. "We'll probably use it." Ayla added, "Or someone else will." And that was the truth of it. What we built wasn't ours to hold. It was theirs to pass on. I turned toward the morning and headed up to one more rooftop. I told my team I needed a minute before they joined me.